Many strange things are happening around us, and stories like this are forbidden to the human ears. This woman named Matina is a native of Yelwata in Nasarawa State, Nigeria, and she confessed sleeping with her own biological son just to have a baby for her husband. This story happened on January this year. According to her, she lost her first husband to herdsmen attack, which produced the 16-year-old son she slept with. Martina remarried years after the death of her husband, but had difficulties having a child with her second husband, Mr. James. After 6 years of marriage with no child, Martina started getting pressured by her mother-in-law and her current husband to have a child or the marriage will be over. Martina's husband threatened to take a new wife, and this bothered Martina so much because she and her husband had contributed money to build the house they live in, with Martina providing a greater share. It troubled Martina so badly to have another woman living in the house she built with her husband. You wouldn't believe what happened. Martina decided to have sex with her teenage son from her first marriage to see if she could have a child for her second husband. Martina narrated how she and her husband had been married for more than 6 years but were still childless due to her husband's fault, according to doctors' reports, and that she heard a grapevine that her husband was planning to take a second wife on the grounds that she could not give him a child. According to Martina, she had undergone a test on her own since her husband refused to go for one, and the results showed that there was nothing wrong with her medically. At this juncture, I will really say that her husband knew it was his fault and probably is impotent. Now, this is where the strange part of the story began. To prove that she is fertile, Martina decided to lure her own son, a student schooling in Akwanga, into a secret affair while warning him to keep it secret. When asked why she had to sleep with her own son, she said since her husband was not comfortable going for medical checkups on the assumption that nothing was wrong with him, she decided to convince her little son, who is just 16 years old and schooling in Akwanga. According to Martina, she visited her son regularly because he stays in a private apartment with her relatives and she spends more time with them, especially on weekends when her market is off. It was difficult making love with her son, but circumstances forced her to do it, that she needed to be sure of her fertility. She even said she knows her husband very well, and if he eventually discovered that she had an affair with a man outside, he would kill her. Now imagine discovering the son made love to his mother. He would also be a dead boy. Martina would visit her son in Akwanga, mostly when she was on ovulation period. She decided to develop a crush on her son and drew him very close to her. This led to intimacy and they ended up having sex. This is just so absurd. A mother and her son having sex for what reason? So this was how it happened. At about 11 p.m. in the night, during her ovulation period, she paid him a visit and made him sat beside her, asking him if he ever had sex, and he said no. She held him in her arms and they both felt warm. After that night, she felt extremely embarrassed and guilty that she committed an abomination with her own son. It was a taboo, so she warned him to keep it secret. Martina said that prior to having sex with her son, she didn't have sex with her husband for 3 months. After intercourse with her son in January this year, she missed her period that same month and a test confirmed she was pregnant. However, when she shared the news with her husband, he suspected foul play and reminded her that they had not had sex for 3 months and he insisted he is not responsible for the pregnancy. James, her husband, accused Martina of adultery and threatened to kill her, so she confessed to having sex with her son. This was the same person who warned her son to keep it secret. Anyway, Martina's son was questioned and he confessed to the sex act with his mother. She said that she is not a loose woman, but a woman who loves her husband very much and didn't want to hurt or lose him. She did what she had to do to save her marriage since she got a reliable information that her husband was planning to take a second wife on the advice of his parents and that the wife would occupy one of the apartments they both suffered to build together. She did that to get him a child and to stop him from taking a second wife, as it will lead to pushing her away and losing all they both worked for. She even said the result of her husband's test shows low sperm count and there wouldn't have been any way he would have impregnated her. Guys, Martina knew she was doing the wrong thing but saw it as a lesser evil than going outside. Now that her husband is threatening to kill her 16 years old son for impregnating her, she had to move him out of Akwanga to somewhere more safer. This she had to do because she was the one who put him into the whole mess. She had also left the house for him after much threats and refusal to accept the pregnancy. However, she says she will engage a lawyer to fight for the house since she contributed a larger share in building it. She is fully prepared and fully ready if her husband tries to do anything funny. She added that she will not abort the pregnancy, but rather she will deliver her baby. She has decided to keep it because it is blood within her blood, and all she wants is to sell the house, share the proceeds, and everyone will go his or her own way since the marriage cannot work or is not working. The husband, as we heard, expressed his disappointment at his wife's action, saying, how can she allow her own biological son, to impregnate her and try to force it on him? That was his anger, and that if she's ready to go, let her go. We built the house together, so whatever she wants, I don't have an issue with that. These were the words of Mr. James. This is a true life story of a mother who got pregnant for her own biological son in Nasarawa State, Nigeria. So guys, I have some questions which I would love you to answer down in the comment section. The first is, do you think Martina made the right decision allowing her own biological son to impregnate her simply because she was avoiding her husband getting a second wife? Secondly, if the unborn child grows up, how will the mother explain that the father is her own biological son? And thirdly, have you ever experienced such disturbing story? Maybe someone somewhere you know? We all know this is being acted in Nollywood movies. Let us know at the comment section.